Welcome to the In My Opinion show with Ronald, Barrington, Robinson, and friends, seen on the internet 24 hours a day. I want to introduce my very talented co-host, Mrs. Jackie Williams.
Hello, everyone.
And Mr. Henry Hatter.
And again, Happy New Year, Jackie.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't get a Happy New Year?
Happy New Year, Ron.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. First things first.
Okay, first things first. Mr. Hatter, let's talk about your acknowledgement here recently.
Well, thank you, Ron. I assume that you're referring to the award that I received in Clio upon my departure from Clio Schools. I had served for Clio Schools for 28 years. And last Thursday, I was invited to a board meeting in which we were only supposed to look at bids. When I walked in, I saw the TVs and all of Clio people come down to celebrate my success, but I still didn't know what it was all about. And so then if I see my son, my grandson, my great-grandson, 2-year-old, and then one of the board members turned to me and said, "Henry, you didn't know this was all about you?" And I was surprised that I was awarded that night based upon the board's purview by the superintendent, Fletcher Spears. The boardroom was named after Henry Hatter, and a picture of the boardroom would remain in the boardroom for years and years to come.
That is awesome.
I was so pleased. I was so satisfied that even a couple tears came into my eyes because I didn't know that I would ever reach that pinnacle where someone would do that for me, and whether I would ever earn that. And what we do in public service is a challenge, and it's a big risk too. And everybody can't rise to the same demeanor. And I haven't died, and they named me that. And I still can screw things up, because I'm still alive. I just have to walk around on pins and needles now, don't I? But I'll try to do my best to demonstrate. And I want to thank the Clio community, the Clio Board of Education, the Veterans Association, the Chamber of Commerce, and all of the other institutions in Clio that supported me through this process. And all of my kids from Clio who give me my due as a board member there. Thank you, Ron, for allowing me to do this.
Good. Well, we're not through yet. What do you feel are your greatest accomplishments? The reason I asked you that question, okay, is we have a lot of young people out here in TV land, and maybe you can, say some things that will inspire them, okay, to achieve and realize their dreams.
Well, thank you, Ron. I think that one of the few things that I've done is, in the past 30 years, we've had a lot of racial tension around the country. And I lived in a community that was the least diverse. That was Clio Schools. And one of the things that I wanted to do was make sure that our kids at Clio did have a new cultural sensitivity to kids that didn't look like them coming into the community. And we were beginning to have exchanges of students by decree, the governor's decree, that we would entertain 2% of our population could be transferred in from other districts. Well, in many cases, 2%, the population coming in did not have the quality of experience that Clio School had for their students and the expectations that they had. And one of the things I did ask the superintendent at that time to make sure that when these kids are coming into Clio Schools, make sure that we raise the expectations for and give them the support for what they should achieve at Clio Schools, to make sure that Clio whole framework raised at the same time. The other thing I was really, I was pleased to be part of 2 landmark decisions that Clio has, and they now govern how all school districts around the state will behave in given the same circumstance. One was the email internet, and I was president of the Board of Education at that time. And the second one was guns. It's okay to have guns, but they don't belong in Clio schools.
Oh,
and as you
good.
saw that Clio won that in the last 2 weeks. Those were two of the things that were most significant. Thirdly, I was really pleased that the Clio community behind me, after the city of Clio, named one day a year after the Tuskegee Airmen as a long-lasting testimony to their service in World War II, when it was terrible times for black flyers, and also for all black people who were in the Second World War. It enriched the culture of Clio kids at that time. And the third thing, I would appreciate the kids inviting, now here's, you guys don't, I hope you hear me. The kids entertained 4 of the sitting Supreme Court justices during Black History. Markman, Taylor, Young, and Weaver. Weaver was the Chief Justice of the Michigan Supreme Court. And no school district has ever done that before. And probably be difficult to do it again. And there's an aspect of that I won't share with you right now, but I was really pleased to see them here recognized. And some kids went on to serve in capacities at the Supreme Court and the governor's office. We also had the governor's office there at the Black History first event, in which Dr. Latour helped to carry this whole process for me. It wasn't done. And this was not done by Henry Hatter. It was done by all of the people in Clio and Frank Mills, who also chipped in to make sure that I-75 was named the Tuskegee Airmen's Memorial Highway.
Very good.
And
And you know, Harry, I have seen those signs from the Ohio line to Mackinac, and from the Blue Water Bridge to the Indiana line, out here on the road.
Sure.
Tuskegee Airmen. That's a great accomplishment.
And I'll have in the next several weeks, I'll go down and make a presentation to the City Council to fund, place, and support a sign within the city of Flint, North Jordan Highway, North I-75, and South 75, somewhere in the city of Flint, naming the highway the Tuskegee Airmen's Highway. So it is also in the district. There will be only 4 after these 2 are put in. But the first of the signs were down at Toledo, just as you come from
The border.
Ohio into Michigan, about a mile outside of Toledo, is that sign that says Tuskegee Airmen's Memorial Highway. The second sign is at the Sioux Locks, just as you leave Canada and come into the United States. That sign says Tuskegee Airmen's Highway. And then people say, well, I don't know anything about it. And now I will go to the council, and I'm sure that the council will support this, or the Genesee County Board of Commissioners, that's where I go, because they have more availability to land and influence. We'll do that. I already had set up to do that last year, but I just didn't get around to do it. This year you will probably see Genesee County do the same thing. And you guys can thank the people in Genesee County can do it, because I can't make them do it. But we can
Work
rise
together.
to the occasion.
Yeah.
Okay?
Partisanship.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, and I admire, that about you, Mr. Hatter, that, you get out there and get things done. And, and I'm sure that the Clio School Board will feel their loss with you not on the board, but maybe you'll rethink that and go back and help the students and the adults.
Well, we'll continue to raise funds for, funds are becoming more depleted from government, and they'll have raised scholarship funds for kids.
And how long did you serve?
28 years.
Wow, just like a job.
And there was one year, guys, it was interesting, and I don't know how I got through this. There was a time that the people of Clio threw everybody off the board, except I survived. We had a whole new board with me sitting as the one of tenure.
Well, I know this should not come as a surprise. I really admire you. I mean, we have different views, but I still admire the man that you are. And I see your work, and you're you're living that dash. I believe in people living purposeful lives, and you have not selfishly lived on an island. You have spread it yourself abroad so you can make changes, and I commend you, and I'm proud of you.
And Jackie, I appreciate the issues that you take with me. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect. It doesn't mean that my views are perfect. But you give me a reason to fight back on the issue. Thank you. I love
You're
that.
welcome to 2019. Let's get it going.
Well, with that said,
Thank you.
put it there.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the midterms. The Democrats are in charge of one branch of government. Will we see bipartisan government? Who wants to tackle that one first?
I'll go, and then Henry comes up beside, and then he encourages me. I just like to say that this is an opportunity, because a lot of times when things are one-sided, it's kind of one view kind of emphasized, but because it's divided, the House is governed by the Democrats and the Senate is governed by the Republicans. It gives us a chance to work out our issues. And I just want to put everyone on notice, Democrat or Republican, we the people are not interested in the fight. We're interested in, work getting done. And we have to look out for everyone, small businesses, big businesses. I mean, they're covered. We have to look out for the regular people. So we want the bickering to stop. We want to be able to hold our head up around the United States and outside of the country, where we're admired by our great thinking and by our being able to hold ourselves in a manner that everyone looks up to us, because we are we should be the leaders, and we should conduct ourselves as leaders. And that goes for Democrats or Republicans, president or cabinet members. So we have to take a self-check, because this has been a rough time, and we have to lift each other up. So whether it's the FBI, we have to speak positive things about, the news might not report everything that we'd like, but we still have to give them a chance to report what it is that they view their point. Because everybody is, as we say, everybody is entitled to an opinion. Whether you agree is your option, but they're allowed to have an opinion. And so we have to get out of the way in, Congress, so we can get some things done, because we have infrastructure that needs to be fixed. We have so many things that need to go on, and we need to see progress. And progress is not the fight being delayed. Progress is moving past the border. It's bigger things than just the immigration. It is other things that we need to work on. And I would like to see that stuff move forward in 2019. And the first step was they passed a bill, and it was bipartisan, that came to the Senate, but the Senate didn't entertain it, but they're working over the weekend. So I'm hopeful that they can come up with something, hopefully not to hold the federal employees hostage, and put that on the side and go ahead and just pass a funding bill so we can open up government.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, Ron, thank you again, Ron. I was just reading a passage by the new Attorney General. She hopes to fire the existing attorney to the city of Flint. And I think I read that this morning.
You did.
And and perhaps he has not done all, in her perspective, that he should have done to resolve this problem. And there were things that have not been done. I have no problem with that. Now, here's a Democrat that's coming in, and we are still arguing this problem of the city of Flint. We have got to get beyond that, and we got to open it up so that we can help to rebuild the city, to make it independent, self-serving, not the subject of the will of critics and stuff like that, and opportunists. And that's where we are right now. We're right at the will of opportunity and critics. Some people don't care whether we ever get out of it. But I'd like to see the city come back, and I applaud. We'll see what the Attorney General is going to do. Now, that's not bipartisan government. That's where she has a chance to go in. And I'm hoping, according to Gracie Whitmer, is that she will try to work with Republicans to solve these problems. And I think that's the only way that they can be done, because something will always be left out of the formula if you don't have bipartisan support. And now, with respect to the national picture, I think initially this will be difficult to work in a bipartisan way because we're so far apart on issues, whether it's Nancy Pelosi or whether it's
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell. They're so far apart, and they don't seem to realize that the function of government is to converge on issues and deliberate upon them, and then get them signed into law and rules written for them so they can go out and do the governors in this country. But we're so far apart on those things that we just don't seem to know how the process works. And and this reeks right at the stability of the United States. When we get into conditions where we can't move anything and gridlocked, there's an opportunity for other forms of government to creep in. And there's, or an overtake, hostile overtake of government. People say, oh, that can never happen. But all you have to do is wake up one morning and everything's changed. There's no way back. And I think that, like you say, we're studying this subject and some people are mocking it, but we're in great danger. And we need to move ahead.
Can you educate us and tell us, so what happens in the House if the House passes a bill and it goes to the Senate and the Senate won't bring it before the people? What is the solution to that?
Right now, the way we function is that you got to trade something off with the Senate.
And go back to the House?
Yeah, you have to send it back.
Oh, okay, revision.
Reconciliation.
Okay.
But let's say, for example, there's something, and I can't predict what this is, not likely to know, maybe it's a wall. And if you're referring to Congress,
yeah,
then Mitch McConnell can, or some aspect of the Congress or the Senate can say, well, we'll do this with this proviso. Like, it used to be called pork barreling. It may still be called pork barreling. But they say, we can do this, but you'll have to give up something in health care or something on the wall or something, and we can get it done through. But what we want to do is to make sure that what comes out of Congress and signed by the president benefits the majority of the American people.
Right.
That's where we need to be.
I agree.
Not a political solution,
no.
but one that benefits the American
everybody.
people.
Exactly, yes. And I think McConnell has forgot that, all right? I think he thinks he works for Trump, but he works for the people.
And you see, what we were talking about, there are two things that they need to do. They use it to solve the domestic problems, and then look at foreign policy issues. Two of them. Far apart we are. And there's no place where the things are tangent to a solution by neither the Democrats nor Republicans. And I think if you were to ask me which one was most difficult, the domestic problems or the foreign problems, I would know. I just don't know where to start.
Right, because we have both.
But a lot of it is just politics.
It is.
We live in a great country. we go to bed with food in our mouth or in our stomach. But we won't admit that because we just look at, we have about as best as any part of the human population has right now. But that won't always be here. And we'll continue to lose ground over time. And part of it is due to our population. And then we got the paradigm shift, and I think that will settle itself out. And you know, the paradigm shift was introduced on this show to the American people about 25 years ago. 25 years ago, we started talking about that. And I had tested this for a while to see if perhaps I took it to the Republican Party and I proposed it. Nobody would talk to me. I took it to Clio schools, and they weren't ready to talk about it. And you know, and we've been engaged in this, and I've been testing it all along, and they haven't thrown me out, and I'm still alive. And but the problem's still here. But I think what has happened, the American people has taken away from politics, and said, and businesses says, we will do this. And all of the success that you see right now is occurring because of the American people and businesses, not legislation.
Exactly, and it should be. I'm hopeful that that they will work together. Let me go back here on the situation here in Flint. I know Attorney General Dana Nessel. All right, she's a no nonsense. Let me tell you. All right. And if she's trying to get rid of that city attorney, I'm sure that she probably will, because obviously that city attorney is not, he or she is not doing their due diligence. Okay, this lady is not somebody to be messed with, because we got the Attorney General's office working on some situations. We had to wait till she got sworn in to deal with some racial issues in Sumter Township, Michigan. Okay, with the Ku Klux Klan clerk, Esther Hurst. So we're going to be dealing with that hopefully. Okay, I know our plate is full right now, but I haven't asked her or Dana Nessel or anything like that, or should I say Attorney General Nessel about this, but I will the next time I see her. And I'm sure it has something to do with the Flint water crisis, okay, and the little shenanigans that are going on down there at City Hall.
They just named somebody. What's her name? That was the attorney that prosecuted the mayor in Detroit. What's her? Kim
Worthy, and
they asked Kim Worthy to come and oversee. Yes, they
tough.
did. They asked her to come and oversee. The Attorney General has already reached out. I mean, the governor has reached out to her and requested that she come and oversee the city of Flint. And also, I want to add that the first thing that the governor did for Flint, Michigan, was to tell her staff that if they had any information that was health related, don't be afraid to give it to her so we can get it taken care of. And that was a victory for us. And secondly, she is going to start the water back up until the pipes are repaired. So we're not going to have to scrape for water. She is going to restore the water distribution to the city of Flint until all pipes have been repaired.
That's a good thing. Because
that's great. So that means that she wasn't just speaking during her
inauguration.
During her when she was running, when she was a candidate, she meant what she said, and I just really appreciate somebody standing up to what they said.
I think that she'll get bipartisan support.
Yes.
And I know her too. All right.
Okay. And she said she's going to fix the D roads.
Yep, fix the damn roads. You know what I mean? Fix the damn roads. All right. I mean, I'm saying, wow. So I wasn't too surprised with this newly elected lady in the House of Representatives saying what she said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I won't say it on TV. This is an adult show. Or Depending on the topic subject, it could be a
Well,
children's show.
in that reference, and this goes back to, and Henry will be proud for me saying this. This is what I said. We just need to, because we don't want to make the same mistakes as history has made. So we don't want to irrationally make decisions that we're going to impeach at this time. We want to make sure that we don't put the cart before the horse, and we go ahead and get Mueller's report. Let the findings say what they say. Let's go through the process. I believe in processes. Let the process work itself out. Don't jump ahead of the process. And that way you will have a record. And then that record will speak, and then you can move. But don't move before prematurely. Don't make a lot of noise about what you're doing.
Yeah, you don't want to spiral the country into chaos.
Because impeachment is very uncomfortable for the country.
And that would, again, wreak at stability. If the country becomes reeling due to insurrection and stuff like that, we probably can't bring it back. So we have to be cautious, even with the president. You may not like President Trump, but you have to go through the process to get rid of him.
Right.
You cannot do it. I will not support any kind of a process that's not fair and equitable and well thought out with and well discussed between the people who have the authority to move to the next step.
You know, and I'm hopeful that we don't have what we've seen in other countries, a coup d'etat, you know, here in the United States. And, you know, and with him firing those four-star generals, okay, don't think they don't have buddies, all right, that are in charge of probably.
That's dangerous.
Exactly. That they're in charge of every the Air Force, the Marines, the Army, the Coast Guard, okay, and things of that nature. And I know it's not sitting well, okay, with our troops either. So I'm just hopeful that something like that doesn't occur here in America. All right.
If you get a chance, I would hope that each of you just read a summary of what Thomas Hobbes, he was a philosopher and a writer in England about 1645. And when people were then beginning to talk about freedom, justice, and things like that, and the will of humans to govern themselves, he came out with a book called Leviathan. You might have heard it, Leviathon. In which he says, give me a break. Human beings can't self-govern themselves. Now, this is an experiment. We're still going through this experiment. We're 238 years into this experiment. The United States is still survives. But it's kind of wobbling.
That's good.
And maybe and we've gone through this many times before, about the impact of rises in population and declining resources. They wreak at instability, and all of those things are going on around us. And people coming up in the caravans are symptoms of that stuff. They're being pushed out of that country so that you make resources for the people that live there, and and those are things that are likely to come about, and we will see. And maybe during our lifetime, we will see the impact of what rising populations and declining resources will do.
Well, let's hope that things will get better for America and for other nations around the world, because we're in kind of an abyss at the present time. But as Americans, we will survive. This is Ronald Berry Robinson and friends saying, until next time, stay focused.